Hello everyone. In our time, it is very difficult to imagine a world without car factories, and it's no secret that the automotive industry often develops its own corporate ethics and practices. Sometimes temporary measures are taken by management that somehow affect the employees. It depends on the circumstances, but sometimes new rules become a tradition. Let's talk about this in our new episode. Let's start with the story of the famous Henry Ford. The thing is, he had a dream. He wanted all his well-paid employees to become exemplary citizens. This led to the creation of the Ford Sociology Department, which included over 200 investigators. They checked every aspect of the employee's life, monitored whether the workers used drugs or alcohol, and even visited their homes to see if they kept their homes tidy. This may seem like madness, but there were many willing to undergo such trials for money. For a while, Henry Ford controlled the lives of his company's workers, making them law-abiding citizens. However, the program was eventually discontinued due to high costs of implementation. A typical shift at the Tesla electric car factory lasts from 12 to 16 hours. Sometimes workers have to work weekends, especially when deadlines are tight. This leads to many Tesla employees getting so exhausted that they just sit and stare blankly at one point at the end of their shift, like zombies. Employees call it the Tesla stare. How does Tesla keep its employees active for such long periods? Of course, with the help of free energy drinks like Red Bull. However, not all employees receive it. Some say they sometimes have to buy the energy drink themselves. Tesla employees are also prohibited from forming or joining labor unions. Although it's not stated in the company's official policy, the behavior of its leaders indicates that they don't want to see their workers in unions. For instance, on May 21, 2018, Elon Musk tweeted, "Nothing stopping Tesla team at our car plant from voting union. Could do so tomorrow if they wanted. But why pay union dues and give up stock options for nothing?" This tweet was just one of many anti-union actions taken by Tesla. The company threatened and fired employees for union activities, prohibited them from distributing union literature, and implemented a dress code that doesn't allow clothing with union insignias. Let's be honest, most employees hate meetings, especially when they are long, boring, and pointless. You're lucky if you work at Tesla, where Elon Musk has created strict rules regarding who should attend meetings and for what purpose they are held. Elon Musk advocates for short and infrequent meetings for Tesla employees. According to him, the ideal meeting should have 4 to 6 participants. More attendees are only necessary when needed, but even then, the meetings should be brief and to the point. Tesla employees are allowed to leave meetings when they feel their presence is no longer required. While some employers might consider this rude, Elon Musk believes it's inappropriate to force an employee to stay in a meeting where they are not needed. The reason Elon Musk is firmly against unproductive meetings is not about the employees, it's about the business. He wants the workers in his company to be constantly busy. Therefore, if you're not in a meeting, you're better off being at your workstation. The well-known Italian car brand Lamborghini is celebrating its 60th anniversary in 2023. The company has achieved impressive results thanks to various aspects, including its internal ethical code, Lamborghini's Code. Every employee is expected to follow this code. According to experts, some points of this code are quite unusual. For example, employees are not allowed to inquire about the dates and locations of meetings. The Lamborghini management has forbidden employees from discussing among themselves where and when the next meetings will take place. All the necessary information is provided to each employee individually by their immediate supervisor. It appears that this measure was taken to prevent competitors from posing as Lamborghini employees to gather valuable information. Lamborghini employees are also prohibited from refuting misinformation on the internet. As part of a special corporate initiative aimed at stopping misinformation about the company's products, Lamborghini employees are advised to report such cases to the press office specialists instead of sharing the information themselves in comments. Employees are not allowed to read spam emails in their corporate email accounts. At first glance, this requirement may seem related to maintaining productivity, but it's actually aimed at ensuring cybersecurity. The company's specialists understand that many try to steal or leak confidential data. This can be achieved through various methods, including hacking PCs through emails and links. Therefore, the management recommends that staff use only their personal corporate email accounts on their work computers and advises against opening suspicious emails. In addition, employees of the company are forbidden from accepting any expensive gifts. Competitors try to learn the secrets of successful developing firms in various ways. They invite employees to luxurious restaurants, offer expensive gifts, or tempt them with exotic services. To address this issue, the management of the Italian company prohibits employees from accepting such offers and expensive gifts from individuals who may be interested in the company's secrets. Employees should also be cautious when talking to potential competitors. Lamborghini employees can have conversations with employees of rival companies, but they should be extremely careful in their statements. The automaker's leaders advise engaging in neutral conversations, avoiding discussions about the company. Let's move to Germany. The Volkswagen plant in Wolfsburg has a glass building where numerous cars are stored. The only difficulty is that birds collide with transparent windows, causing many problems. To solve this inconvenience, the plant's management installed speakers around the building that repel birds. Some individual birds still collide with the glass, but overall, the problem has been resolved. In the distant 1980s, our domestic Moskvich plant also had its own special traditions. If a Moscow boy at the time were asked about famous car factories, the inevitable answer would have been AZLK, the automobile plant named after the Lenin Komsomol. Most of the Moskvich workers were young people, and the tone was set by the Komsomol members who established the traditions of the renowned car factory and its reputation. One of the most interesting initiatives of the Soviet automotive holding was the collaboration with the dance ensemble Buratino, in which the children of the factory's employees performed. Interestingly, children aged 5 to 7 years old signed full-fledged labor contracts, outlining the rights and responsibilities of both parties. This was especially pleasing to the children, who felt a sense of adulthood and responsibility. As a result, the kids became more enthusiastic about their performances, and the team of model makers at the car factory helped them with equipment. For example, they made rings for juggling and other details. Speaking of the modern Russian automotive industry, one can particularly mention the Ural automobile plant located in the city of Miask, Chelyabinsk Oblast. At the plant, there is a long-standing tradition of celebrating those who start school for the first time. Young schoolchildren are congratulated every year. Parent employees of the car plant receive September payments from the enterprise, and delicious cakes are given to first graders at partner schools. But even more interesting is the fact that the Ural automobile plant also holds the traditional contest Time for Good Deeds. In 2023, the winner of this contest was sent on pilgrimage trip across Lake Ladoga to Valaam, where the lucky person could pay their respects to holy places and pray at a distant monastery for their loved ones and fellow countrymen. At Volvo Group Russia, during the May New Year's party, the management awards employees who win in funny categories. For example, those who travel the most on business trips, or those who can't go on a date without a cup of coffee, and so on. The same genre is used for the year-end summaries. These are not formal indicators of how much coffee, tea, and milk employees have consumed. The tradition is simple and fun, and the employees enjoy it. Often, stray animals appear on the premises of car factories. Employees, out of love for our little brothers, often start feeding these four-legged guests. However, for understandable reasons, the management is usually against such displays of affection and issues corresponding prohibitions. For instance, at the Uaz car factory, an order was issued prohibiting the feeding of dogs, cats, and even birds in inappropriate places. Employees could lose their bonuses for 6 months if they violated this rule. The car factory workers were genuinely concerned that the management wanted to completely get rid of cats and dogs, considering such an attitude inhumane. But eventually the conflict was resolved when a local deputy and the shelter management got involved, and the factory signed an agreement for the humane capture of the animals. It is well known that during the coronavirus infection, the Chinese authorities acted quite harshly to put an end to the spread of the disease. There was a period when enterprises, including automobile factories, transitioned to the so-called closed cycle. Employees didn't go home after work. They stayed and slept right in the workshops. However, as the situation worsened, the authorities ordered the closure of non-essential businesses. Car assembly came to a halt, but workers couldn't return home and were forced to stay and live in the factories. The press service of Volkswagen China shared how life was organized for people at the car plant in Shanghai. The day started with a mandatory COVID test. At 10 in the morning, employees went on a 1-hour walk around the plant. From 11 to 1 p.m., workers had free time during which they watched movies and played cards. If they wished, everyone could engage in social beneficial activities, such as cleaning up litter. At 4 p.m., cardio workouts began, and then workers had dinner, took a shower, and watched movies. These were the anti-COVID rules. In Japan, since feudal times, each craft has its own revered masters, both in the past and in the present. Even the popularity of showbiz stars pales in comparison to the fame of living national treasures, the colorful Japanese equivalent of our titles like Meritorious Artist or People's Artist. Remarkably, the cult of professional mastery has been preserved in the land of the rising sun even during the post-war economic miracle. The concept of labor glory has very concrete meaning in modern Japan. With the development of advertising, there is a growing demand for winners of all Japanese contests of professional skill in the automotive industry. For a company's prestige, it is important to have the country's champion in a specific specialty on its staff. In this regard, a notable incident occurred when Nissan poached the best welder in Japan from Toyota. This happened despite the fact that robots have long been responsible for welding car bodies in both corporations. Sometimes there are no rules at all, or someone overlooks them. It's incredible how inventive workers at car factories can be when it comes to leisure and not work. It's unclear which car factory is featured in the viral video circulating on the internet, but according to some information, this is how the employees of the automobile company Ford entertained themselves during lunchtime. The entertainment recipe at the assembly plant is simple. Take a robotic manipulator with a rotating hinge at the end of its arm, attach a racing chair with sports belts to it, program the robot, add the bravest employee tester, and you get a Disneyland at the workplace. Someone among the participants in this mischief uploaded the video to the internet. Judging by the drawn safety line, this carousel is in constant operation for the workers. That's it for today. Subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and bye-bye.